Good to see you all on, what is today? Today's Thursday, I think. So happy Thursday. Good to see you guys. Hopefully you brought in the new year in the way that best suited you and enjoyed doing it. I know I did. Um, and can't wait. Hey, patience, and can't wait to get back to Jack's testimony and where we left off yesterday. So I'm going to give it a couple of minutes just for folks to get on in here so we can meet and greet and get ready to do the damn thing. What's up, Jay Nice? Hey, Stacy D, in the place to be. What's up, David? Hey, LB Donna, Farah, good to see you. Ma, what's up, Sherry? Good to see you, Sarah. Hey, Tawana, what's up, Slim Shady? What's up, Chris? 2409, Conchita. Good to see everybody. Catsman Do. Lanny, I knew I missed somebody. That's why I was scrolling back up. Alaikum salam. What's up? I think I said Jay Nice. Good to see everybody popping in here. If you are joining me anywhere other than TikTok, please make sure that you say hello, that you greet, because I can't see when you guys join the way that I can over here on this app, right? And I want to be able to say hi to people. What's up, Neuro Mama? Hey, Veronica. What's up, Tammy? Good morning, Witch. Good to see you guys. Sunflower Fish, Win Dixie. I love to see everybody flying in here. What's up, Lynn? Hey, Wendy. What's up, Kimber? Salab Anwar. Patty, good to see you as well. Hey, Ali Nicole. Really excited to see you guys. You guys brought in the new year in a great way. What's up, Blessed and Grateful? Because I had a very quiet, hey, Lawanda, very quiet. What's up, Sandy? Peaceful New Year's Eve here with lots of intention and getting level set. So it was good for me. So I'm usually being pulled in 20 different directions. So it felt good to only have my direction to worry about at the moment. So yours was quiet and peaceful too. Yeah. And then of course I got my beautiful grandbabies back over here this morning, and the girls are playing on the deck because it's beautiful outside. So they're on the balcony having a go, I think, with some bubbles and stuff like that. And I think Bella has her do-it-yourself journal kit out there, and so they're doing their things, and Tuji's going to work for a little bit. So hey, Brandy, good to see you. What's up, Christine? You got snow overnight? Yeah, you can keep it. You can keep it. I just don't want any. I don't like the cold. It hurts. What's up, Gemini? Yeah, for those of y'all who get the cold hurts your girl over here, which is why I don't like it. I want to go ahead before we dive in and I start sharing. What's up, Phenomenal Kai? Before I go back into and start playing the testimony from Jack Smith. Ooh, girl, I hate that it's flooding, Veronica. What's up, Beach Bum Wannabe? I want to go back over kind of what was said yesterday in the 3.5 hours of testimony that we watched yesterday. And also add a little bit of context, a little bit of info. And I also need to tell you all about a fake ass account out there that is pretending to be moi. So if you are on the tick of the talk, there is an account that is using the one graffiti logo image of mine, and they are spelling it at the Dan One Cook. They literally copied my exact verbiage at the top saying what my backup account is. And my link tree. And then they even have posted my videos. They have me blocked on my original account, and they have me blocked on my backup account as well. And so I made a video telling everybody to be mindful. There's 7,000 of you guys following that account, I think, because you think it's me. It is not me. So please make sure that you report it and don't follow them, because they are not me. They say imitation is the greatest form of flattery. I don't really know about all that. I don't really care. All I know is I'm just going to say this, and you can take this in whatever scientific, energetic, or spiritual way that you want to. If you're a Christian, you hear things like "touch not my anointed and do my prophets no harm." There are in other verbiage, you hear things, that karma's coming for you. Listen, folks, you really want to be careful when you do things that are harmful to other people, especially other people who really focus on putting out good. Because I'm not going to send anything bad to you. What I am going to do is return your energy to you along with the intent behind it. Okay. Because it's not mine. So I will send it back to you. So yeah, I'm covered from my head to my toes, and like, and so whatever you want to do, that's on you. I just wouldn't recommend it. You know what I mean, folks? So so just throwing that out there for people. Yeah, the backup is really mine. It's the only backup account I have, and then I have this main account, and then that's it. Good morning, Mary Shaw. Good to see you. So things are. I do have some new things that are happening starting next week across the social media platforms. Right, Stacey D, 1 star. Would not recommend. Yeah, Heather Cox Richardson has fake accounts. I'm nowhere on Heather's scale, for goodness sake. But whatevs. Happy New Year, Susie. So make sure that you're following me across the socials. So let me just tell you this: everywhere except X, I am the Dani Cook. Okay, that's the only place that's not me. What's up, Robin D? Good to see you. I'm not going to tell you what the announcements are right now. If you are a subscriber / super fan and you are in the subscriber Discord, you saw me already post about 2 things that are changing next week that I'm pretty excited about. Happy New Year, Selah. So, I'm really putting in some work and, making some changes and things that I'm excited about and happy about and all the other stuff. So we're going to get back into the testimony that we were listening to from Jack Smith. But what I want to do first is give a recap, because I think that might be helpful for folks. Happy New Year, Scotty. Same to you, Linda. I love that you joined my fan club for a month. Love that. What's up, Sage? So listen, I'm going to try to do this as concisely as possible. I will interject. I will make observations. I will be doing, offering commentary. That to me is the whole point of me doing this, because other than that, I could just give you the link, which I have put in my link tree, and you could just go watch it for yourself. Good morning, Mama. Good to see you. So I'm going to offer you some observations and some thoughts as I go along through this. The rest of this testimony. First, let me just say this. Appreciate it, Celia. Hey, Emil, good to see you. So let me just share this with you. So yesterday we made it through 3 rounds of questioning in this deposition process. And the way that the deposition process works is the majority of the committee, which is the GOP, they get to question first, and they question for an hour, which they did. And then the minority, which is going to be the Democratic side of the committee, they question second, and they question for an hour. And then it goes back to the GOP with like little breaks in between. So we have completed 3 rounds of questioning by the Judiciary Committee of Jack Smith. So that means we've had 2 rounds of questioning from the GOP, 1 round of questioning from the Democratic minority of the committee. Things that I want to just highlight. What's up, Doug? Things that hey, Kat, good to see you. Damn, Farah, I thought I did, but thank you. Thank you. Also, if you have considered becoming a super fan on TikTok, which is their new word for subscriber, now would be a really good time to do that, because lots of things are changing and elevating and adding to the mix. And we would love to have you on the subscriber side of things. One of those things that is happening for subscribers / super fans only is tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We will all hop on a Google Meet together, and we are having an intention / vision board party together, where we'll, kind of talk about setting our intentions. We'll talk about why we are as individuals choosing the things that we are choosing in our lives, what we what may be some of the barriers to those things or the challenges, how to actually, work with setting your intentions and that sort of stuff. So that's happening, and it is a subscriber slash superfan only event. And the reason why it is a superfan subscriber only event is because setting your intentions and putting out there what you desire to create for yourself is an extremely personal thing. And a lot of times in those settings, people share things that just aren't up for public input. And Happy New Year to you too, Jerry Frost. And so I just want to make sure that we put, yeah, it's sacred, Susie, exactly. And so we try to keep the trolls and those that have negative intentions out of the space. And we do try to protect our community because we have a pretty incredible community. So that is an example of one of the things that is happening if you are a super fan slash subscriber. We had movie night this past Monday night. We have a book club. We are doing the 4 agreements in January. What's up, Chip? And let me show you. Well, shit, I don't know where I put the book. I'll get the book in a second and tell you about it. So let me recap. When the Republican members of Congress, do you have to sign up for it? No, Christine. If you're in the Discord, and you're and you just go into the subscriber discourse, I post the link to it, and then you just can join straight from there. Yeah. What's up, Teresa Ketron? Good to see you. Happy New Year to you as well. Okay, so check this out, folks. One of the things that was interesting about the Republican focus, the members of the Judiciary Committee on the GOP side of things were mostly focused on 2 things. One, how Jack Smith came to be appointed as the special counsel, and any sort of narrative that they might be able to insinuate or create about how that came to be and if it was questionable in any way, shape, or form, right? So that was one thing. And then the second thing that they stayed focused on were the call logs, that the NDO call logs that, yep, you sure did, Mary Shaw. Good to see you. That Jack Smith's office obtained for several of the senators and members of Congress, including Jim Jordan and so forth and so on. And they are really focused on a law around speech and debate protections for members of Congress, and whether or not they believe, or whether or not Jack should have informed either the court or the phone companies that the subpoena they were serving to get that metadata for those calls were for numbers that belong to congresspersons. What's up, long legs? And hey, Wawa. And Jack's position is very simple. No, because the policy at the time was that wasn't something that was required. Now, since that time frame, the policy has changed, right? The policy since then has changed. And so Jack's position is, listen, we followed the policy about, how to do these things. If the policy that exists today had existed at the time that we sought these subpoenas, we would have followed the policy. It makes no difference to us, right? And Jack's position is that this statute that protects certain speech and debate for members of Congress isn't relevant to the call log subpoenas because there was no speech and debate obtained with those subpoenas. The call log subpoenas were strictly metadata. And that data was the time of the call, the date of the call, the numbers involved in the call, like who called, who received the call. Was the call missed? Was the call answered? Was the call completed? Was it local? Was it long distance? That's it, right? And so that's the way that it works, right? And so there was no content. There's no portion of any conversation that was obtained by those subpoenas. None whatsoever. And that's incredibly important, right? And location. And that's really important for people to understand about these call logs that were obtained. One of the things that they did yesterday was they continued to ask Jack about the seizure of Representative Perry's phone. And Jack kept saying, yeah, well, that occurred prior to my appointment as special counsel. That occurred under the previous investigators, and it didn't have anything to do with me. And they kept saying, well, why do you think this? And shouldn't it have been done this? And he said, I can't speak to that because it occurred before I was the special counsel. Good afternoon, Cheryl. But they kept harping on this thing. And so I think what's for me, the way that it showed for me wasn't that they were finding these points in which to question Jack's credibility or to question the process. The more they harped on it, for me, the more it made me believe there's something they're concerned about, right? Because if all you got was the metadata and there was no content included and I wasn't involved in the attempted election fraud, then I don't give a fuck about them, especially because the policy has changed today, right? So the more that you continue to harp on this thing, you are literally indicating that this is something we should be focused on. Salam, Abdul, right? And so the more that they continue to harp on it, the more I'm like, damn, somebody go get the content. Like that's where I land is they really worried about these call logs. Can somebody get a subpoena for the content, please? Because that's what I want to know. Because that's what they appear to be very concerned about. And those are really the only 2 points, Salam Wasef. Those appear to be the only 2 points that I heard the Republican majority of the House Judiciary questioning on yesterday, right? How was your appointment? And I do want to address this. So, Precision, I'm discussing a court case, and that's it. So I want to be clear: court cases are not divisive. They are fact-based laws. Yeah, the kids were late getting here. They were supposed to be here an hour before they got here, so that's why I was late going live. But if you want to discuss it, if you want to talk about why you think discussing the court case is quote unquote falling for division, I'm happy to do that if you want to join the panel. What I would ask you is before you join the panel, thanks for becoming a super fan, Robin D. What I would offer you is before you join my panel, I would ask you, have you read the actual court indictments? Have you read the depositions of the individuals? Where are our tax dollars going? Shit, that's the question. Here's what I will tell you. More of our tax dollars is going for billionaires and centimillionaires and their corporations than in a legal case. And I want to be super clear on this. I'm okay with every ounce of any amount if we are looking at prosecuting the attempted overthrow of a presidential election, period. But again, what I would say to you is, have you read the depositions? Have you read the depositions and the transcripts of the actual investigations? Yeah, it's okay. The trolls help the algorithm. I don't care about the trolls. I'll handle them. You guys just focus on me and don't worry about it. Because if you haven't read those documents, you might want to do so and then come back and have a conversation with me, because I have read them. I actually read them live on TikTok over a year ago, right? So, if you want to talk to me about this case, I hope you are well informed about the case itself, because I am. Okay. If all you've seen is what mass media has told you or some pundit talking point, you might want to go to the actual facts because that's what I did. Okay. Okay. Moving on. Um, yes. And the depositions are wild. Yes, they are. Um, so yesterday we got through 3.5 hours of the actual deposition, and so we're going to pick back up. And yes, they are. Thanks, Stacey D. And we're going to pick back up and go through some of those. Before I do that, so my frustration with the line of Democratic questioning wasn't from the Democratic members of Congress so much. I mean, one or two of them, yes, but it was with the attorneys for the minority on the judiciary that were asking questions because they just were asking very close-ended and sometimes going all the way around the mulberry bush to even ask a question, and they weren't giving Jack the best opportunity to present facts. Having said that, Jamie Raskin helped with that when he interjected to ask some questions, because Jamie Raskin is an attorney and he taught constitutional law. Yep, I got it, Sandy. Thanks. And so he was very helpful in guiding that line of questioning and being very productive in what he was able to get Jack to be able to say. Last but not least, the last 2 days of 2025, I set about the business of looking back over 2025 and looking back at about 20 to 25 people that had major things happen in 2025, and discussed what are the lessons that we could learn from those people and from the things that happened to those people, and how we could carry that into 2026, if you all remember that. And I ended that review with none other than Jack Smith. I don't know if you all remember this or not, but I ended it with Jack. And my last statement with regard to Jack is go into 2026 like Jack Smith. Carry Jack's energy, carry Jack's integrity, carry Jack's impartiality, and his fact-driven analysis, and his desire for evidence, and the ability to articulate it. And he was the last person. I don't know if you guys remember that or not, but I said, we're going to end this thing with Jack. And I said, be like Jack when you go into 2026. And then literally an hour or so later, they released the deposition files. And if you remember, one of the other things that I said was what I desire for us in 2026 was to become so accurately informed, so equipped to be able to decipher fact from fiction, and accurate information from misinformation and disinformation, that we would become what I call unshakable, even in breaking environments. And for me, that is unequivocally what we saw in the first 3.5 hours that we watched of Jack yesterday. He was unshakable in any environment, regardless of the line of questioning, regardless of which party was doing the questioning, regardless the topic of it. He was literally unshakable, where he did not have recollection. And I want to clear something up for people who go, oh, I don't like him saying, I don't have a clear recollection of that. You all, Jack Smith is not your county prosecutor. He's not. He was the head prosecutor, the special counsel, and he was leading a team of more than 24 prosecutors and investigators. I really need to make that clear. So when they ask a very broad question about, was there any communication between your office, and say Fulton County, right? And he says, not to my recollection. Understand that he wasn't involved in all of the communication, and he had over 24 other people that's their jobs and their responsibilities. And you said, hey, these are the 3 people that were handling Fulton County. they're probably better equipped to answer that question for you. But for me, as I sit here today, to the best of my recollection, nah, right? Happy New Year, Goldie. So when there's a difference between saying, to the best of my recollection, or I don't have a clear recollection, there's a difference between saying that and having and seeing other people going, I don't recall. I don't recall that. I don't recall that. Or even worse, I plead the fifth. I plead the fifth. I plead the fifth. I plead the fifth. Right. And which is what Donald Trump did, which is what Roger Stone did, which is what a large number of them who were deposed in the investigation did. They pled the fifth. So one of the reasons Jack is being clear about what he does have and doesn't have crystal clear recollection of is because he knows that they are looking for absolutely any possible way to come after him. No, Sarah, you can go back and watch it later. And I also have, it's in my link tree, and I also have the transcription, right? So, so listen, he knows that they would love to catch him in any way, shape, or form. So he's very clear, and he's saying, listen, because they also ask him, I don't know if you all caught this or not, appreciate the crown, Grammy. They ask him, so you had an opportunity to review your files in order to prepare for this deposition. And he said, well, I was given access to a computer. That computer had files. I couldn't tell you if that was all the files or not all the files. Right? So I think he's brilliant in not giving them a single loophole to be able to. It's even like they threw one email in front of him, one email, and said, well, doesn't it seem like this is this and this is that? And he said, well, I can't really tell you because I don't know, for example, if this is the only email on this subject. It says, as you are aware, which makes me believe there was prior communication outside of this email. So I can't really speak to that. And then he even said, and as you can see, I'm not on the email thread. So you're asking me about an email thread that I'm not on without me knowing if that's all of the emails on this subject, right? And I just was like, in my soul, I wish I could have been like, I don't know, a fly on the wall and just whisper to Jim Jordan, he's smarter than you. You're not, he's smarter than you, Jim. Like, you don't have a hope in hell of tripping up this 30-year public servant. You're just not that smart. And we know you're not that smart because you were dumb enough to answer phone calls, right? On your phone, the number that they have. You didn't even get a damn burner phone. You answered your phone calls on your congressional phone. You are not smart, Jim. Right? So I'm just saying, you know, there you go. All right. So, yeah, I'm just going to say, so we're going to dig in. I'm going to go back. Remember that they just finished the second round of GOP questioning. We're going to go into a line of Democratic questioning. Something that I pointed out yesterday that we will probably see again today, and I'll make note of if we do, is when we noticed that the GOP individuals were questioning Jack Smith, you saw that the GOP person was cut out of the frame of the picture. Their names are redacted in the transcript, but when it's a GOP individual questioning Jack, they were completely out of the frame and you could not see their identity. When it was the Democratic questioning, and it's a black dude that was questioning, he was absolutely in the frame. They showed his whole ass face more than once and even zoomed in. So, yeah, Stacey D, you had something you wanted to hop in here and say before we get started?
Everyone, lips are popping. Let's go. All right.
So funny.
wanted to ask if you could do a little clarification for why this is happening. I mean, we understand this is linked to the Trump's fraud cases, but why did the transcript all of a sudden get released? And what was the intention behind it? Are we playing offense or defense on this?
Got it. Okay. Yeah. So let me just say this. All of this is going to be my opinion and speculation because we don't know why the ninjas doing what they do. I would hazard a couple of different guesses. Things have changed in the last year politically in this country. It's not distraction, Steffi G. I promise. It's not distraction. They could do a whole lot of shit if they just want to distract. Hell, all they got to do if they want to distract is like change another name from a civil rights leader off of a fucking Navy ship. Like that's another distraction. Jack Smith and this testimony where he's name dropping, not a distraction at all. Right. And I think that people need to understand something, that when you dismiss a case, that does not mean this case cannot be retried at some later point in time. This case was not dismissed with prejudice. It was just dismissed. And actually it was withdrawn because he won the election, right? So it has nothing to do with the validity of the case or if it can be prosecuted at another point in time. I love long statutes of limitations for certain things, right? So here's my thing. When I think about where we are right now, in 2024, if you were not endorsed by Trump, or if you publicly turned against him, you were very likely to not win your race or remain in Congress for the next go round because his base was tied to anybody that was part of the GOP Republican platform, right? There was no division. If you remember when we heard Roger Stone talking in the documentary A Storm Foretold, and he's talking to Mark Burns, and he says there are no moderate Republicans anymore. Do you remember that? He said there are no moderate Republicans anymore. It's all MAGA. It's not all MAGA anymore. Right. We have seen Thomas Massie successfully break ranks with Donald Trump quite emphatically and very boldly, brazenly calling him out on the floor of Congress and his friends and going to Grape Island, right? We have seen the likes of Nancy Mace break ranks, the likes of Lauren Boebert break ranks. Now, I'm going to set MTG over here because, as y'all know, I believe hers is different. But what they are now seeing is that you can go against the grain being Donald Trump, and still have the support of your constituents. And I have always said that the more we demonstrate that to members of Congress who are Republican, who are GOP, that they can stay in office, even if they break ranks from him, the more likely they are to break ranks, right? So I think that's a shift. Also, another shift is the Supreme Court now saying things like, maybe some of the decisions that we made earlier this year weren't constitutional.
I missed that.
So hold on a second. So
that's huge.
Yes, it is. So, we've seen Brett Kavanaugh come out lately and talk about some of the dangers of the court's rulings, right? And we were all like, not Kavanaugh, but yes, Kavanaugh. And so I didn't get a chance to talk about it yesterday. And then Lisa sent me a message about it last night, asking me again. And I was like, okay, I'm going to have to touch on this at some point. But yeah, so real deal. Let me see if I can find the article real quick.
Are they trying? Do you think they are doing it from conscience, or do they have?
Fuck no. They don't have that. That's not a thing. No, that's not a thing. No, absolutely not. So a couple of things. Let me pull this up real quick.
You don't want their legacy.
Okay, so Kavanaugh is saying, so for example, the Kavanaugh said, because this is in the National Guard case. So you remember just yesterday, the Supreme Court said, no, the lower court got this right, and he can't send these troops into Chicago, blah, 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 whatever. And then all of a sudden Trump says, oh, we're going to pull them out because, well, you're going to pull them out because you lost in court. And the Supreme Court didn't bail you out. That's why you're pulling them out, right? But listen at what, listen at this snippet from Kavanaugh in this decision, okay? The state's opposition to deployment of the National Guard appears to stem in part from the state's underlying objections to the activities of federal immigration officers when they make immigration stops and arrests in Illinois. The state and the government disagree about whether the immigration officers have violated the Constitution in making certain immigration stops and arrests. The basic constitutional rule, everybody should know where we're going here, the Fourth Amendment, right? Governing that dispute are longstanding and clear. Keep in mind, this is Kavanaugh I'm reading. The Fourth Amendment requires that immigration stops must be based on reasonable suspicion of illegal presence. Stops must be brief. Arrests must be based on probable cause, and officers must not employ excessive force. Moreover, the officers must not make interior immigration stops or arrests based on race or ethnicity.
All of a sudden.
Well, that was the long-standing part. But the Supreme Court ruled earlier, yeah, y'all can racially profile like a mofo, right?
Exactly.
And now all of a sudden they're like, well, maybe. And so here's my opinion about that. I think that the Supreme Court is reading the tea leaves. In 10 months and 1 week, people are going to have completed their voter registration in many states, and they're going to be ready to go to the polls. And I believe with every fiber of my being, in 11 months, we are once again going to have 3 equal but separate branches of government. And when that happens, a lot of things can take place. Supreme Court justices, while they do have a lifetime appointment to the court, can be impeached and removed.
Yeah, thanks for that clarification.
I'm going to repeat it. Supreme Court justices, while they have a lifetime appointment to the court, can be impeached and removed. Because why has that not happened yet? Because we have a Republican supermajority. Okay. So the Supreme Court is like, oh shit, we didn't get enough done in the first year to ensure we could complete the playbook.
And they coming for that ass.
And they gonna come for that ass. Right. No, Brocco, not on the Supreme Court. No, it hasn't happened on the Supreme Court. And here's my thing. What we are electing, what the people have elected in 2025 are not the type of candidates that are doing what has always been done. I'm going to say that part again. The type of candidates that are winning their elections, that won their elections in 2025 are not the type of candidates that are that are doing what has always been done. So when we say, has a Supreme Court justice ever been impeached before? The answer is no. But there are new people that are in the game that would be down for impeaching that ass. Right? Real talk. And so it's important. So like, it's not just one singular thing. I think there are several parts of this. Now, could the Republican Party be overplaying their hand because they think they're smarter than everybody else and believing that they set a strong enough narrative in the questions that they asked Jack Smith that they could get their base to believe it was a witch hunt, it was a hoax, it was a whatever? Sure, they could think that, right? They could. I think if that's their belief system, they overestimate themselves, highly overestimate themselves, because like it or not, the veil is being lifted And not only are people in the United States of America seeing Israel for what Israel is, but they are seeing many other parts of this government for what they are. And so I think it's a combination of all those things at the same time coming together to provide us with this very unique opportunity. Now, here's my hope. My hope is that creators and independent media outlets present this information in a way that is digestible and not divisive. Okay. I don't have that expectation. It's just a hope. It's not an expectation, but it's a hope. And here's what I mean by that. Jack did a brilliant job yesterday when they said, well, who's responsible for having these call logs, get subpoenaed and this, that, and the other. And Jack said, well, I mean, at the end of the day, I believe the person responsible and the person who should be held responsible is Donald Trump. Because had he not called those people on those days and tried to get them to do these things, then there would have been no need for a subpoena, right? Yeah, they played right into it. And he was able to do that several times. When they asked why was the IG the one delivering the subpoenas and not members of the DOJ, he said, well, I mean, I wasn't there when that specific one happened, but my understanding is because one of the co-conspirators, Jeffrey Clark, was a member of the DOJ. And so we couldn't really have his co-workers involved in getting the subpoenas for him. So that's why an independent agency was involved in getting and administering the subpoenas. So again, everything that they attempted to maneuver with him, he was able to answer brilliantly, and it only gave him an opportunity to provide more damning evidence. And in my opinion, the way that this should be framed for absolutely everybody is number one, anybody listening to the line of questioning, if they're going to be critical of the questioning of Jack Smith, it would be great if they were critical on both sides. I had critiques for the GOP side and I had critiques for the Dem side, right? And then I think people just simply need to stick to facts and not play into the speculation, not play into the gaslighting and the arguments and the distractions. You know, you heard Jack say, I can't really speak to that. That didn't have anything to do with my case. Right. And then just not, and when the dude kept saying, I mean, but don't you think you all could have done, you could have just asked for the information. You didn't have to get a subpoena, for which I don't know in what world we just be asking criminals attorneys to turn over evidence when we're investigating them. Right. I think it's pretty much the standard that you get the damn subpoena so that you get the information and they don't have an opportunity to destroy it or whatever. But he literally kept saying to Jack, I mean, you could have just asked Mr. Perry's attorney for his call logs or for the information that you needed. And Jack looked at him and was like, and your question is? I was giddy. I was so giddy when I heard him say, and your question is. So what I believe the reason we saw this information get released is because the clock is ticking. The clock is ticking, y'all. 10, 11 months. Y'all, that's less than we've already survived. We have fewer days in front of us to the midterms than we have behind us since the last election. Salam Mohammed OS, right? And so they know that. There's nobody that has a better understanding of how close the midterms are than the GOP members of Congress right now. They all do, right? And so this is when it's now. Let me just be clear. Do not sit back and think that you can rely on the DNC and the Democratic Party to do what needs to be done to ensure that we win. Because historically speaking, that's not a wise choice.
That hasn't been a thing.
It hasn't been a thing. And so this is when we, the people, hey, Lulubelle, have to take the information, make it digestible to people, and do it in a way that isn't divisive, right? And just speaks to the core values that we all share, period. And we can do that, right? We can do that. Yeah, no, Twyla, what I was saying is it's never been a thing that they did it. That's what I'm saying. Okay. So that's why I think so, Stacey. I think because I think the rhetoric coming from the Supreme Court has shifted. I think, listen, guys, when you see a special election in Iowa happen, and it's a Black woman that wins the special election in Iowa,
they are nervous.
After Afton Bain absolutely turned Trump Tennessee country into fucking Afton Bain country, they sweating. They sweating. Yeah. And they said, oh shit. Yeah. And so they got to figure out how, and let me be clear, they are perfectly okay. And I have always said this, they are perfectly okay throwing his ass under the bus when they no longer need him. And we may be approaching that time.
He's not going to see it coming. Because
no.
He doesn't look like that. He's not that smart.
He's such a narcissist. He's so self-centered. She will run again. By the way, I did get a text message from my friend. So if you were on here 2 days ago with me, I just randomly called her, which I don't normally do. I don't randomly just be calling people. But I called her and just shot her a text and said, hey, you got a second to pick up your phone. And then remember, you guys, after I did that, I said, shit, Afton's ass is probably on vacation. Because that's what she does. After a hard election year, after a hard political whatever, she takes her ass on a vacation and she you know, kind of disconnects. And so yesterday she sent me a text. Hold on, I'll tell you what she said. She sent me a text yesterday. And she said, dead to the world until January 9th. And then she said, I'm at the airport heading to a place that's dark, cold, and more importantly, with very few people. And then she said, love ya and happy new year. And then she told me where she was going. So I'm not telling you. And then she said, we survived. And now next year we thrive. I'll reach out to you in the new year. Love ya. And I texted her back and I said, OMG, I literally said, I bet her ass is on vacation. LOL. Enjoy. And I love you. So yeah. Yeah.
It's exciting. Like, this is where, like you said, we can't relax and think, okay, shoot, because that's what historically we've talked about Dems do. We elect people so we don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
And we have realized through this last couple of election cycles, we don't get to do that.
No.
We can check out. The other side has never checked out. We cannot check out. We have to get in it. So this is when we can feel good about the fact of everything that we've done to get to this point, and we got to lock in and see it through.
100%. Like, this is the place where we all have to be bought in from now forward in every way, shape, or form. There can never be another day that or another period of time where we become complacent with our country.
I don't think we will.
Yeah, I don't think we should, right? I know in my lifetime my ass won't, right? And then my goal is that I'm imparting enough into my grandbabies that they won't, right? So that's the goal. And so that makes me kind of excited, to be frank with you all. This is the most, I can't tell y'all, I can't think of a recent new year that I went into feeling like I'm feeling for this one. Like, I can't. Yeah, but it's a thing. And so I'm excited to see where it goes. I really am. So Lisa, did you want to pop in here and add something to it before I
second that about the feeling. Like last night, like, you know, after like everything that's been happening, a few weeks ago, we were talking about the Supreme Court, and I said to Stacey, I said, the Supreme Court's going to go one of two ways. They're either going to double down and try to keep Trump in office and try to keep Republicans in office and do everything that they can, right, to do that, or they're going to see the writing on the wall, realize that that's not going to happen, and go the other way. And this is what they were doing.
Yeah.
So I just want to emphasize that.
Thank you.
Kavanaugh wrote this whole thing about what has become known as Kavanaugh stops on a very narrow case that had nothing to do with stops. So they are literally trying to walk back stuff in case rulings that have nothing to do with the subject matter. So
Yeah.
this was a very limited ruling about whether the federal government could continue their takeover of the National Guard indefinitely once they took them over.
Right, Rob. That's the case she's referring to that he was quoting. Yep, 100%.
Yeah. So it was like a very, very simple question. And yet it wasn't just Kavanaugh. So Gorsuch went on and on and on too.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, dude's got all these questions that he never had before. And they're dire questions. He said, they're great, important questions.
Yeah.
Like before calling up the National Guard, must the president be unable to execute the laws merely with federal civilian law enforcement personnel?
Yeah, which was the point when you first saw the fucking case.
Yes. Right,
Yes.
the whole
Impaling yourself on the point and missing it completely.
Yes. And he goes through, like, he pretty much goes through every case that they have just let Trump win on.
Yeah.
And let him go off on. And now he's walking it back and saying he has grave concerns that they have not.
Yeah. Yeah.
That they have not done this, right? So it's a big deal. The Supreme Court is a huge, huge deal.
Yeah, I mean, Roberts absolutely knows his legacy is awful, and I think he was fine with that, Rob, if they could have met the goals of the playbook. If they had been able to do so, for those of you, and I'm just going to give you like the approximate numbers, but there were over 250 some cases specifically around the administration's executive orders and the things that they were trying to do. They were fully blocked on more than half of those. On like 149 of them, the judgment was fully blocking whatever the executive order was of the administration. And then it was like another fourth of them or so were partially blocked. And so their wins were very minimal. And so thank you for the dragon. And so that being what it is, they did not get done all that they wanted to do. So by the way, thank you fucking Joe for all those federal judge appointments.
Yes.
Like real talk, right? And so I think that it's really important. Hey, what y'all doing? Y'all okay? Oh, okay. I thought she was holding the door so her sister couldn't come back in. But as soon as I said, hey, I saw a hand just.
She said, what?
Yeah. But yeah, so.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't lost on us either, right, Dani, that how the administration reacted. Like a child getting their hand slapped, right? They hurry up and they like pulled all their cases that they were fighting Newsom and other states to keep the National Guard deployed in their states. So they heard the Supreme Court loud and clear. They heard that.
Don't run, baby. You can run. We can run out there. Or listen, if mommy comes and gets you and takes you to the playground, baby, you can absolutely play outside. Run outside, okay? Yeah, so agreed, 100%. I want to level set for just a second because I see different conversations going on. For those of you all that aren't in the Discord, Mohammed OS's wife is pregnant with twins. She's going to need a C-section. He needed to schedule her for a private hospital. He scheduled it for 2 weeks out because that's when he could do it and wanted to make sure he had the money. We were able to raise enough money for them to cover it. So if she goes into labor prior to that 2 weeks, or the doctors need to do things sooner than that, he now has the means to make sure she's good. Okay. So all taken care of, all good to go. For those of you all who sent money to my abs, I did the transfer and it's a holiday, but as soon as the transfer and they hit my bank account, then I'll put the rest to him. But it was like, yeah, baby. Yes. So all done, all taken care of. And the goal was 500 and I messaged him and told him the number. I think the number was a total of 815 for them, something like that. Yeah, but you got to wait a second. Yeah. So, and let me give you this. He sent a message and I don't know how many private hospitals are in Gaza. I don't know. Yeah, Bruce, Yeah, we're gonna go when I get there. And if you want to watch it before that, you can go to the link that is in my link tree, or just Google it and go to YouTube and watch it. Okay. I want to give you all this message directly from his wife, though. He says, "Good morning, Dani. My wife thanks you very much and says she loves you, and also says you're like a second mother to her. So sweet. She insisted that I deliver this message to you. Love that. So, yeah, you're welcome, Bruce. So that's the stuff that you guys get to do, and I get to be the conduit for it. So, love that. All right. So I think we're all set, and
However, if you watch Mr. Smith take on the GOP hack.
Yep.
Do the damn thing,
I
Dad.
got Jeopardy done yesterday for tonight.
Yep, this is what we're about to do. So let me, I'm going to get it going over here. So listen, if you're on TikTok, I will be showing you, you just like listen to me narrate. I got you, Bruce. So listen, sometimes when we're on TikTok, I'll turn the camera around to them and only them. And sometimes I'll go back and forth because TikTok will get me sometimes if I just play a straight video for too long without showing my face in it. So just know that that's the thing, and that's what happened. So once we get on this, maybe after we get through this next hour of questioning, if people want to join the panel and discuss it before we keep moving on, we can do that as well. Okay. Cool.
Dani, your commentary during it is perfect. Like every time I'm like, it's like, I don't know, like every time I was like, yeah, they probably don't know what that means. You'll stop and you'll be like, oh, what they mean by this, and I'm like, yes, Dani, exactly.
Because like it's not helpful for me. I just think about like all the rhetoric and the way that people say things, and I'm just like, I am forever mindful, and maybe it's because I am from a small town, and maybe it's because I know a lot of people that don't have like a big ass degree and a big whatever, and it's just we need everybody to understand what it is, right? And so if
on the sword and be like, for those of us that may not have caught that.
Well, that's why when they said, when he said that several of the witnesses proffered with us, like Rudy Giuliani, I said, whoop, okay, because it's such a, so listen, but the way that he did it, when he said we had so many witnesses that were pro-Trump supporters and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And, for example, when Rudy Giuliani sat with us for a proffer, right? Those little places where he name dropped Jeffrey Clark and Rudy Giuliani and Randy Bowers and all of those things, right? Those are important. They are incredible. And people really, I really want people to digest the significance of both the name drop and what it means to be queen for a damn day. Listen, and you heard him say Pence too, right? But do y'all remember? Okay, so just this one little thing, and then we're going to play the video. Do y'all remember when we were reading the superseding indictment? So after the Supreme Court had ruled that the president of the United States has presumptive immunity for things that he does in his role as president, and then they kicked it back down to the lower court to make those determinations as to what falls in that role and doesn't. And then Jack went back to that indictment and he streamlined it, resubmitted it to another grand jury, and then got a second indictment, right? Do y'all remember when we read that second indictment and he was talking about, and he mentions Mike Pence, and I said, oh shit. Mike Pence is like just, he's singing like a bird sitting on his window. I was like, oh my God. It was just, I remember the day that I was like, damn, Mike Pence is telling all.
Because he finally got his little tail got put in a bad way, and he was like, oh no.
He said that was about to.
He was like, okay, you done it now.
Yeah, Mike Pence said that was about to Emmett Till me. Real talk, right? And that was the deal. And let me say, I'm going to say it again. Mike Pence is not a hero.
Nope.
Mike, and I will say this 10 toes down with my whole ass chest. Mike Pence is not a hero. Mike Pence knew what was transpiring and did nothing to stop it. He did not alert anyone and do anything. And by the way, it was his attorneys, because y'all need to understand that the vice president has his own attorneys. The president has his attorneys. The White House has their attorneys. And when they took this, oh, you don't have to certify the election thing to Mike Pence, he actually took it to his attorneys and said, hey, is this something we could legally do? Because, you know.
Asking for a friend.
And then when they said, no, Ninja, this is not something you can legally do, he said, yeah, no, we can't do it. Right?
That's what I thought.
Okay, I'm just saying. But he asked the question. So, okay, well, I'm going to ask Mommy if she'll come over and do it, okay? If not, I'll do it as soon as I'm done. All right? Okay, so here we go. I'm going to drop y'all down just so I have the big screen for everybody, and then we'll bring you back up. All right, let's get to it.
Let's go.
It's time for Jack. It's time for Jack. I'm so excited, y'all. This makes my heart so happy. Okay, so I am going to put you guys over here. We are at the place where we have completed the second round of questioning by the GOP majority of the House Judiciary Committee, and they are ending their off the record break, and we are going into the second round of questioning by the minority Democratic side. So I'm going to flip my camera around. I should put a sticker up here because I didn't do one yesterday. I mean, I didn't do one yet, Jack. Whoop, don't miss out. That's true, but let me do this. Jack Smith. Yes, girl. I heard you and I already answered you, right? So you need to give me a minute. All right, here we go. Yeah, okay, so let me tell you, and we are at the top of page 127 if you are following along with the transcript. We're at the top of page 127 on the transcript. Let's see how far. They were off the record for quite a while. Okay, so here we go. Let me make sure you guys are good over here. Okay, you are. Awesome. Perfect. Dear Lord. How long can it take? Oh, at 9-minute mark. So y'all, we got like 45 seconds. And then Jack is going to be doing the damn thing. Yes, baby. There's a white cord right there and there's a white plug-in.
So even when my phone was charging, it kept like almost shutting on, but then it died.
Okay, well you got to leave it alone for a minute and let it fully charge, and then I'll take a look at it. Use the white cord that's over there.
Welcome back, Mr. Smith. I want to start by starting on the issue about the collection of call records related to certain members of Congress. You recall the majority asking you about this at length in their first two rounds so far today?
Yes.
Did Donald Trump and his co-conspirators try to reach out to members of Congress before January 6th and on January 6th of 2021?
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about what your investigation uncovered regarding communications with members of Congress that's related to the attack on the Capitol on January 6th?
There was pretty extensive contact with members of Congress. There were instances of members of Congress, again, specifically on January 6th, but also before that, where either they were reaching out to the White House or the White House was reaching out to them, and through conduits to the president, including, as I said, Mark Meadows.
Okay. And what was the nature? Let's start with before January 6th. What was the nature of some of these communications with the White House or with co-conspirators of Donald Trump leading up to January 6th and members of Congress?
Well, it varied. Sometimes the communications were relevant to us to show that people were telling Donald Trump that the things he was saying were not true. Other times, they were evidence of the false nature of the things that we're saying. So, for an example, would be there are 2 voicemails that Rudy Giuliani left for senators, and those voicemails show him saying things that were not true, using knowingly false claims to try to get those senators to further delay the certification of the vote.
You just mentioned that there were instances before January 6th of members calling the White House, and I'm summarizing, to basically express that some of the claims the president and his co-conspirators were making were not true. Is that what you just said?
Well, I should be specific. There were a variety of reasons that, and I'm not trying to say that any time someone contacted the White House, they were involved in a crime themselves or doing anything improper. But how this conspiracy that was trying to stop the lawful transfer of power, how that worked, it was important for us to understand. We had evidence from Department of Justice officials that Donald Trump said to them, just say the election is corrupt and leave the rest to me and the Republican congressman. I think given that was the perspective that Donald Trump had, our view is that the case we would have presented at trial would have been Donald Trump preying on the party allegiance of people in his party. And people like the vice president didn't agree to that. People like the elector from Pennsylvania I mentioned didn't agree to that. People like the Speaker of the House in Arizona didn't agree to that. But the extent to which those contacts were happening was relevant to our investigation.
Okay, so let's dig down a little bit in that. Let's start on January 6th. So I believe in the evening, did your investigation uncover or learn that Mr. Trump personally called members of Congress on the evening of January 6th?
Yes.
Do you remember who those members were?
I'd have to look at the records to be sure, but the best of my recollection, he was trying to get in touch directly himself with Senator Hawley and Senator Haggerty.
Yes.
And then there were several senators who he directed Rudy Giuliani to get in touch with.
And who were those senators that Mr. Trump directed Mr. Giuliani to get in contact with, to the best of your recollection?
To the best of my recollection, and this comes from a email, or I think it was a text maybe, that Boris Epstein sent to Mark Meadows, and it basically said something to the effect of the president told the mayor to call these senators and they needed numbers. And what our investigation ultimately showed was they sent that text after they'd already started trying to call members and didn't think they had, and ended up understanding that they didn't have the right phone numbers. In fact, the message that they left for Senator Lee, which he voluntarily provided to our office, that was meant for Senator Tuberville, I believe. And the message that he left for Senator Sullivan, I believe it was for Senator, the name's escaping me now, but it was another senator that he meant to call. We had also interviewed Boris Epstein before these subpoenas were issued. He corroborated that they were, in fact, trying to call senators. He dissembled and tried to imply that the president hadn't directed him to do it, even though there was a text message saying specifically that they had. But he agreed that they tried to call these senators and that they had certain senators' numbers themselves, and so they didn't need those numbers. And that would be, I believe it was Senator Cruz, and possibly, I think he said they possibly tried to call Senator Graham as well.
Taking a step back, this might be obvious for a lot of folks, but just to make sure it's clear for the record, who was Mr. Epstein?
Boris Epstein was one of the co-conspirators in this case.
And what role did Mr. Epstein play in the larger conspiracy, if you can summarize it?
Well, he played several roles. He was involved in the fake elector scheme, and also in sort of pushing out some of these false fraud claims. The other thing, I'm sorry, just to go back to mention is we also, in the course of the investigation, interviewed Rudy Giuliani. And one of the things that we asked him, if you recall, in the message, I can't remember which senator it was for, but in the message that he left, he said, referenced the fact that he was calling on fellow Republicans. And in the interview, we asked him, why did you say you were calling on your fellow Republicans? And he said, well, I wasn't going to be calling Democrats about this. Even some Republicans wouldn't go along with this. So of course I would call only Republicans. And in fact, that was consistent with our investigation throughout, that the people that President Trump and his co-conspirators reached out to were people who they thought would go along or help them because of party allegiance. And Giuliani in particular would reference that he expected their cooperation because they were Republicans. There was one particular meeting that he attended where he got a hostile reception because he had no evidence to back up the fraud claims. And he said something to the effect of, I thought we were all Republicans here. And so that was a theme throughout the case. And it went to the strength of the case that we had because the witnesses we were going to call were the people that the president reached out to sort of further this criminal scheme.
I want to touch on a point because it seems like the evidence you uncovered showed certain members of Congress, including Republicans, pushing back on this assertion about the big lie. And I'm characterizing some of these claims about the election as the big lie. Is that okay if I use that term?
You can use whatever term you like.
Oh, I'm going to use the big lie. So do you recall any evidence when you were talking to Mr. Giuliani that he truly believed all the voter fraud claims that he was putting out around the country?
Our evidence was he did not. And in fact, when we interviewed him, he disavowed a number of the claims. He claimed they were mistakes or hyperbole. Even the claim about Ruby Freeman, where he basically destroyed this poor woman's life by claiming she was a vote scammer. President Trump did the same thing in a recorded call with the Secretary of State.
I've got a restriction
He
on
disavowed
TikTok, so I
things he'd said
my face
in that
on it for
interview.
now.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question? Were you able to interview some of the individuals that our January 6th
Hey,
committee
Sherry.
was unable to interview? For example, did you interview Mark Meadows?
We did.
We were unable to talk to Mr. Meadows. Were you able to find out what the communication was between Mr. Meadows and Mr. Bannon and potentially Mr. Stone on the evening of January 5th at the so-called war room at the
I know.
hotel?
I'm gonna wait though until I do this.
I don't recall that as I sit here right now.
I gotta
know
wait till I do
Mr.
the
Meadows
first.
spoke to a number of people who were either involved in or adjacent.
So I want to go back so we can listen to this question again. And I think it's just really important that everybody hear this part of what they're asking, because they're saying, so did you actually get to, yes, it restricted gifting and it restricted, guys, stop, listen. They just restricted not only visibility, but also gifting. So if this appeal doesn't work, I'm going to have to shut down TikTok and restart it. Okay? Like they literally just restricted both. And it's because the gifts were showing up on top of Jack's face. That was the problem. So I just have to give it a second. Right. So I gotta just see for a second. It's okay. Yeah. So give me 1 second. Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens on the 22nd. It says it will restore in 8 minutes. Great. Love that, Steffi G. And if that's the case, then I'm not gonna do it. And we'll go from there. So, I know other people do it all the time, y'all. I ain't other people. So, you know, which while I get this set up over here on the other side, on my studio side, let me share this with you also. Yesterday, I got a little thing from TikTok saying, "Hey, girls, not so loud, please." Saying that number one, our lives had superseded 80% of the lives globally on TikTok. And then it actually said that I'd gone live with like 28 people from 28 different countries. But that on top of that, my lives on TikTok were being viewed in more than 225 countries, which was pretty fucking awesome, right? I thought. No, it's always been this way for me, Renee. They've always restricted, TikTok's always done me this way from the first day I got on this shit to now. They've always done this. There are other people, though, that it does not happen with. So y'all are going to have to give me a second so that, yeah. Okay, so here's what I got to do, folks. I got to shut down on TikTok side. Holy. Whoa. Great. Okay, so here's what I need to do on TikTok. I need y'all to hold tight for me over here on this side of the world. I need to shut down over here. I need to redo, I need to go live again. And get set up. Yes. What? You know that I'm going to have to help you do it, sissy. So like asking to do it while I'm working isn't great. Because if you're going to airbrush paint on a plushie, I need to supervise. Right? And I can't supervise while I'm working. But you guys got like a lot of other things that you could do. Yep, I'm on the tube right now, Swifty. It doesn't matter. What they are saying is that this is unoriginal content. And so that's the issue. So you gotta, I'm going to close out. Hopefully y'all come right back. Let me get set up on the other side. Okay. I need you guys to just hold tight for me. Thanks. I'll be right back, guys. Give me a second, folks. I got to get, it's the wildest things. And TikTok Studio is just not as whatever. All right, so I'm trying to get me set up for just a second. It's going to take me just a minute. If y'all can bear with me, that would be great. Appreciate it. Oh, dear God. I am... What, Mila?
Keep cooking bananas.
Do you not hear them cooking?
I smell them.
Like, I know you hear them cooking, right?
It's cooking smell.
Okay, listen, there's only one of me. And the thing is, you were fed right before you got home, right? Pop fed you. So this is not a case of you're starving. And it's a case of Tutu explained that I needed to work. Yeah, I hear you, but listen, we talked about this before I started work. And I said, hey, Tutu needs to work, and I need you to let me work, right? And that's not happening. Hey guys, I'm gonna go back live on all the platforms as soon as I get this fixed, okay?